Same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage is the marriage of two people of the same legal sex. As of 2023, marriage between same-sex couples is legally performed and recognized in 34 countries that have a total population of about 1.35 billion people, approximately 16.9% of the world's population. History of same-sex marriage in India. Same-sex marriage is currently not legally recognized in India. Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which criminalized homosexuality, was struck down by the Supreme Court of India in 2018 in Navtej versus Union of India. However, there is still no law that allows same-sex couples to legally marry or have any legal recognition of their relationships. Let's look into government affidavit opposing same-sex marriage. Heterosexual marriage has been the norm throughout history and is foundational to both the existence and continuance of the state. In its affidavit to the Supreme Court, the government argued that the traditional concept of marriage, consisting of a biological man, woman, and child, cannot be disrupted. It claimed that recognizing same-sex marriages could cause havoc in the system of personal laws. As different from many liberal democracies, in India, aspects of marriage, succession, and adoption are governed by religious personal laws. Let's look into reasons behind the centre's opposition. One is legal revamp required. The registration of marriage of same-sex person also results in a violation of existing personal as well as codified laws provisions such as degrees of prohibited relationship, conditions of marriage, ceremonial and ritual requirements under the personal laws governing the individuals. Definition of a spouse. In a same-sex marriage, it is neither possible nor feasible to term one as husband and the other as wife in the context of legislative scheme of various personal laws. Against cultural norms. The social order in our country is a religion-based which views procreation as an obligation for the execution of various religious ceremonies. Property and other civil rights. Property rights post-marriage is a much contested issue in India. Same-sex marriage will not create any immunity for the law but increase complex interpretations. Navtej case did not mention such marriages. The 2018 Navtej judgment decriminalized homosexuality, but it did not mention or legitimize same-sex marriage, not comparable to the heterosexual couple. Same-sex marriage cannot be compared to a man and women living as a family with children born out of the union. Violation of existing personal laws. Registration of same-sex marriage would result in a violation of existing personal as well as codified law provisions. In the interest of society. There is a compelling interest for society and the state to limit recognition to heterosexual marriages only. Now let's look into what Special Marriage Act has to say. The Special Marriage Act is a law in India that allows individuals of different religions or nationalities to marry each other. It was enacted in 1954 and came into effect in 1955. The Special Marriage Act allows for intercaste and interreligious marriages, and couples who register under this act are not required to change their religion or follow any religious rites or rituals. However, the act does not recognize same-sex marriages. The Act also provides for divorce on certain grounds and maintenance to the spouse and children. Now let's see what stand do petitioners have regarding same-sex marriage as a matter of rights. Any social policy is liable to judicial interference if rights are violated. The petitioners rely on the rights to equality and non-discrimination as laid out in Articles 14 and 15. The Constitution prohibits the same state from discriminating based on sex. Sex has been interpreted by the Supreme Court in Navtej 2018 case to include sexual orientation, granting the right to marry heterosexual couples and not to homosexual couples discriminates on the basis of their sexual orientation. Same-sex marriage is a matter of privacy. What the court said on privacy is, privacy includes at its core the preservation of personal intimacies, the sanctity of family life, marriage, procreation, the home, and sexual orientation. The state currently denies this right. The right to privacy entails the right of the citizens to make decisions about their family life and marriage. The state currently denies same-sex couples this right. Issues with such marriages are morality, the rising activism, religious sanctions, social stigma, patriarchy, and burden of collectivity. Arguments in favor of such marriages are pursuit of happiness, right to privacy, arbitrariness, issues with definition, discrimination, human rights, and many countries are recognizing it. According to a global think tank, Council of Foreign Relations, same-sex marriages are legal in at least 30 countries, including the United States, Australia, Canada, and France. Legalizing same-sex marriage may pave the way for generations to come and become a big step towards reclaiming the diverse, multicultural and inclusive civilization that India has always been. Government should strike a balance between individual rights and social cohesion, taking into account the unique cultural and social context of India.